Thanks, Jamie. Number one, we're pretty excited. Spring ball start on Monday. Phase two of the program. We've had a really good phase one. I think the effort that our guys and what they've done in the weight room, from really pushing themselves individually, but pushing themselves as a group. Really happy with what we've done so far at our 6 a.m. runs Tuesday and Thursday. Uh, Meetings have gone well. Walkthroughs have gone well. The one thing about this football team is as we start phase two, it's a very, very, very young football team. And you look at the offensive line, you have two veterans back who have played a lot of football with Alumni and Brandon Crenshaw Dixon. But, those other guys are all going to be guys who have taken some snaps, but not very many. And I think the way that they've progressed so far has been really, really good, and we'll just see where we're at.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Andre.
Hey, Coach. It looks like the spring game is scheduled for Thursday night, March 24th. Do you have any more info on the location and if it'll be open to the public this year?
Practice fields, it should be, and we should be able to be open to the public.
And then there was a report last week about Jalen Maiden moving to safety. Is that something you can comment on and whether that's accurate and the thought process behind that?
Well, Andre, you got really good sources, but no, it definitely we have made that move. Excited about it. Just watching him do some things from a physical standpoint. Really excited, and I think it's going to be something that could be really good for us and really good for him.
And then I know you're focused on the 2022 team, but another high mark for the 2021 team is getting 6 players invited to the combine. How important is that to the program, and how involved do you and your coaching staff get with fielding questions from scouts and team executives?
Well, obviously, we're really proud of the guys who have the opportunity and are going to the combine. We give our input when asked. And I think, Adam Hall probably speaks more than anybody to those scouts that come in, and he kind of organizes everything that we do that way. But he does a nice job, and we obviously, when we have pro day, we'll have some input with them when they come in.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Thanks, Andre. We'll go to Brandon.
Just to follow up on that, do you have a pro day date at all?
Yeah, we do, and you know what? I can't tell you. It slips my mind right now. I think it's 20, the 17th, maybe. Yeah, we'll let you know.
Okay, gotcha.
But you're not invited, but we'll let you know.
Amen. I'll just find some binoculars or something. I'll stand up on Tony Gwynn Stadium.
There you go.
Okay. Just piggybacking on that last question though, it has to help the foundation of what you're trying to build when you have that many kids going into being a part of that combine. It's really going to help what you're doing for the next couple seasons, right?
Well, I think it does. I would think if I'm a guy that has those aspirations and those dreams to go play at the next level, when you're getting recruited, and San Diego State has 6 guys going to the combine, I would think that would maybe fit in the decisions somewhere that I can go to San Diego State, and because they've proven it and they've done it, I could go to the combine.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Brandon. We'll go to Lee.
Hey Brady, were you aware that you were about to lose your defensive line coach who went to the NFL? Or did that just happen quickly?
We probably knew a little bit sooner than anybody else, obviously, and I knew that, and I think it's a great step for Jordan. I'm really excited for him. I think he'll do a great job of learning. He was a sponge when he was here, and so really excited about it.
Question about Mike Goff. Since you've got so much that has to be accomplished in the offensive line, probably critical 15 days on the field before you go to the summer. What's the intangible that he can bring to young kids learning to play at this level?
Well, one thing about Mike, and I've been doing this a long time, Lee, and I've seen guys who have been really good college players, and then they go to the National Football League, and then they come back and they want to get into coaching. And they come back and want to get into coaching, and they're not very good. I've been around enough guys to watch guys from the development phases to drill work, what they do, and everything that goes into it, developing a football player, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman. But the one thing I can tell you, Mike does is he's very thorough. He's very, very good with the fundamentals. He has a great demeanor. And I personally, now I don't know much, but I know if I was a young man and I had an opportunity to be tutored and, taught how to play offensive line from a guy who has done it at its highest level and did it for many years at its highest level, I'd be deeply involved in the decision making of going to San Diego State because of Mike. And like I said, he is really, really a good teacher. And I think that, and he does it with a really good demeanor. Sometimes you yell at guys a little bit, and you've got to also kiss him on the cheek, and he does that also.
The decision to move Jalen to safety. Was there any thought about making a really good athlete a big-time wide receiver or big-time tight end to catch passes? How did he wind up at safety? His choice, your choice? How did this evolve?
More his choice as much as anything else, Lee. And, I say that, but at the same time, I was making the decision. And I just think what he's done, he lost a bunch of weight. Last year at this time, he was 240 pounds. And he's lost about 25 pounds. And he's moving really well. He is really, really sharp mentally. I can't wait till we see him in pads, to be honest with you. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, and see him, play that warrior safety or an Aztec.
Question about injuries. Anybody you have to hold out in spring football, pads, contact that can't go?
Well, Noah Avenger and Dallas Branch both had shoulder surgery. They will be non-contact guys, but they'll be able to do a lot as far as everything else. They just won't have contact. They've run most of the winter conditioning phase 1 stuff, and so they'll have that opportunity. But really, those are right now the only 2 guys that really significantly worried about.
And in terms of quarterbacks and reps and all that, will it be 50-50 Burmeister and Haskell? Or do you fast forward Haskell at a bigger pace?
I think as we move forward, really like both guys and what they've done so far. Kyle Crum, who's a freshman, he'll get some opportunities, and Leo will get some opportunities. I like the room. I like the group. Excited about where we're at there.
Good, thank you.
You got it, Lee.
Thanks, Lee. We'll go to John.
Coach, hope you're doing well. Do you sometimes know when you look back in a season that your success you had in the fall is predicated on what you saw in the spring?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a couple things. Really liked how the last year's team, 2021, how they approached phase one, the winter conditioning part, the competitive edge that I think they built as a team. And then we were a little older, which, helps. I think spring went real good. Phase two went real well. Liked on both sides of the ball, the maturity. This will be different. I mean, I really believe that, and it can be different in a good way. We're just going to be a little immature. We don't have probably the depth that you'll like and the depth that we'll have in fall, because I think there's 4 more offensive linemen coming in that will be really important, in the development. But I like the work ethic. I like the leadership that we have so far. We got to fundamentally play fast, and play physical. We always have a standard of performance that we talk about. And, as coaches, we'll become what we tolerate. If we're not going to push their butts and get their ass going, then we'll have a sloppy, very immature football team next season. We can't have that.
What does it say? I might have asked you about this previously on radio, but what does it say about the development that you guys are able to do as a coaching staff with your team when you take a look at something like the Athletic and they take one of your recruiting classes just a few years ago and they look back on it and say this is like a top 10 class in the nation, a class that would have beaten the performances of an SC and an Oregon and other programs, in the Pac-12. What does it say about your ability as a coaching staff to develop these players from the time you get them on campus till the time they leave?
Well, there's been a lot of guys here. Coach Long did a great job. That guys on that staff who are here did a nice job in recruiting. The guys that we kept from that staff, we kept for a reason, because of their abilities to develop guys and push guys and coach guys. And then obviously the guys who we brought in. I think the one point, though, that stands out is Adam Hall. I mean, he's been here, and I hate saying that because he's from Texas and he thinks Texas is everything, but but he's done a great job. The guys that have worked with him and what he does. So, we have the same mindset on how we do things. And, it was easy for me to keep him because I had watched him, and I know, how he does it. And so, and I'll give you an example. We ran at 6 o'clock this morning. He was here at 2:30 setting up the field, putting out him and the GAs, putting out the equipment that was needed, the cones that was needed, and all that. And I mean, he loves it, and he does it every Tuesday and Thursday. And so, we're lucky. We got a guy who's dedicated to San Diego State, loves San Diego State. He's a tough guy. As many times as he was sacked, you have to be tough because he couldn't run. But, he's done a hell of a job. But, overall, the development, and that's what we have to do. We're not going to get ready-made guys once in a while. But I want to tell you, we got to develop. And that's why right now, this is, the physical and mental toughness that we've got to develop, and the fundamentals, the technique and fundamentals. Those things, to me, are critical for our growth as a football program.
And then just real quickly, would you, from a coaching perspective, would you rather do it that way, the development way,
Yeah.
as opposed to ready-made because of the chip on the shoulder? That's what you're looking for?
Well, John, we have an edge. We got to play with an edge. and sometimes, that edge, take the Utah State game. You look at what we played really, really undisciplined football. Part of that is we took the edge too far. Part of that was we jumped offside. Part of that was dumb things in the kicking game, right? We can't do that, but we got to play with an edge.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you, John. We'll go to Kirk.
Hey, Coach, can you talk a little bit more about the QB competition? How wide open is it? Is Braxton considered the leader because of his experience, and how legitimate of a chance could one of the freshmen emerge as the starter by the fall?
Yeah, I always believe this, Kirk, and it's good to see you. But I always believe this, that that competition has to be there. We're not just going to hand the guy the job. And if you remember, Will, through last year, he was the second quarterback for a while in some situations, right? So he throws a nice ball. He is learning the offense. I think obviously, game experience. Brax has, quite a bit, but I think it's always got to be competitive. And I don't treat this too different, Kirk, than I do who's going to be the offensive center, right? It's got to be competitive, and if we're not competing every day and if we're not getting better every day, then we're failing these kids on this football team.
For the freshmen, is this more of a learning experience for them, or how legitimately could one of those guys jump up and take it?
I think it's hard for a freshman, but I'm not going to say it's can't happen. I mean, I like Kyle and Lou, what they've done. From the one thing that we've done here at San Diego State, and we did it when I was here first time, and Coach Long did the same thing. No one gets out of drills. Our quarterbacks do the same daggone thing that our linebackers do. When we do drill work, when we do fundamentals, cone drills, all that, everybody does it. All our specialists, Matt Ariza, used to talk about how competitive he is. Well, I feel real good about where we're at as a football team and positionally because of what those guys have done during this spring. Not spring, but this phase one in winter conditioning. The same way I really liked what Jack Browning's done. He's done the same thing Ariza's done. So it's all competitive.
Would you hope to name a starting quarterback coming out of the spring, or do you think it'll take well into the fall?
That's a great question, and believe me, I thought about it before I came up here. Would I like to? Yes. Will that be
What advantage would that give you to name it now as opposed to waiting?
Yeah, well, you're talking about after spring.
Yes.
Yeah. I think as you do that and as you look at that, you got to look at not just the physical performance and but the competitiveness and the leadership. This is the time now, and when we start on Monday, that the leadership, how does a guy handle the huddle? How does he interact with the offensive line? All those things I think are a big part of it. How does he interact with his receivers? That part of it to me is the next part, and what I've seen so far and what we've seen of Brax and what we've seen of Will for a year now, Kyle Crum, Lou, they're competitive. I mean, and I say that we believe in, 10, 80, 10. We got the top 10, the middle 80, and the bottom 10. And, the competitiveness to be in that top 10 is pretty significant when we evaluate it, we argue about it, and then you see them. If a guy checks all those boxes, I guess, Kirk, is the best way to put it, and he's a leader, then why wouldn't you name him your starter?
Mm-hmm. Also, on the defensive line coach situation, do you already have a guy in mind to bring on board, and can you name who that is?
I have a guy I'm going to bring on board, but I can't tell you all that yet. You know, HR, we got all kinds of stuff going on. State of California HR.
Will that person's role still be as an assistant, or will your role change on the defensive line coaching?
I'll, you know, I was around a lot since I've been back as the head coach. You know, I'll have a role.
Do you always want to keep your hand in that, or will there be a time?
I got to keep my hand in it. You know, it keeps me grounded. You get a little dirty. You know, Cam, he used to run me over now and then. It's all good for you.
And does this hire also help out with recruiting in a certain way?
Yep.
Is that part of the aspect of it?
Yeah, I think you always, you know, Kirk, and that's a really good question because I think, you know, the more I've been in college football, obviously, you always have to have when you're going to recruit a guy who's going to have a personality, who has a work ethic, who has a reputation from that standpoint also.
Then I wanted to ask, are there any other position changes for players? Anybody in particular?
Nope, that's it. I think Jalen, yeah, he's the significant one. Oh, Garrett Fountain. Garrett Fountain's the defensive end now.
All right, and what went into that decision?
Number one, depth. Number two, you know, we got Cooper McDonald, Caden McDonald, Daryl Masani at Sam linebacker. So you got some depth there. And you look at Garrett from a physical standpoint. I think he weighed in 241 or 2 today. You know, he's a guy who can get to 250, have the quickness that this defense requires, have the athleticism. And, you know, it's funny, you go back and you watch the film from last year. Well, who knocked that ball loose? Oh, that was Garrett. Who got that sack? Oh, it was Garrett. I mean, there were more bright spots than you remember during the season. Excuse me.
Last thing is, usually you guys have 1,000-yard rusher returning. This year you won't. How wide open is that, and how do you see that shaping up?
Well, I think that will be a pretty good position for us. And I say that, you know, I think Chance and Bird and Armstead, you know, I'm really excited about what the three of them can bring. Cam Davis is a guy who really athletic as heck, quick as heck. I think one of those guys will emerge, but I still think because as we get in some more two-back system a little bit, is you know, Jalen Armstead. I'm excited about him. He's a big body. He's maturing as a person, as a young man, which he had to do, which most of you guys had to do. Hacksaw didn't, but he's really done a great job.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Kirk. We'll go back to Lee.
Brady, history writes in the record book what Kevin O'Connell accomplished. Can you talk just your interactions with him, your view of how he has rocketed through the coaching ranks as he lands in Minnesota?
Yeah.
How amazing is this?
You know, I don't know him real well, Hacksaw. You know, I was really excited this year when he was able to come and put the Warrior Spear in the ground, and I forget what game it was, but they had played on Thursday night, I believe. So he was able to come, and really, I hadn't talked to him much. You know, I know Adam Hall and him, you know, I think they were close. But I'm excited as heck for him. I mean, he obviously has done a really good job. I'm excited to see what he does in the future. I just, you know, we're excited. Believe me, we are really excited about what his position is.
And you've talked extensively about Adam Hall. Did you realize he threw for a bunch of 500-yard games here at San Diego State?
Yeah, well, he tells me that. Look, he tells me that, Lee, but I don't believe him. I'll believe you, Hacksaw.
Look at the tape.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he got also sacked 7 times by San Diego State in one game.
But he threw for a bunch of 500 yards, too. That
So-
was pretty impressive until he went down.
All right. You know what? That's enough.
Don't argue with a talk show host. Thank you.
Yeah, I hear you.